Hari Om. Ajam nirvikalpam nirakaramekam niranandamanandamadvaita purnam niranandamanandamadvaita purnam param nirgunam nirvishesham niriham Parabrahmarupam Ganesham Bhajema Parabrahmarupam Ganesham Bhajema Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste. Welcome to session 96 of Bhagavad Gita verse by verse. We have completed 12th chapter including recap and are about to start 13th chapter Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. Before that, today let us take up Mundaka Upanishad from where we have left. We were in first kanda of second Mundaka. We will take up mantras 5 to 9 in this chapter for our study in today's session. Srimati Pannaga Prasad will chant Ganesha Pancharatna at the end of the session. Now, I request Dr. Hegde sir to give us a brief introduction of today's class before our teachers begin their presentation. Over to you, sir.
Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. As just mentioned by Venkatesh Prasad, we have concluded the wonderful Bhakti Yoga and we are due to start the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And it is our practice to study one Vedantic topic, and we are in the middle of the study of this most wonderful Mundaka Upanishad. As you see this picture of these two birds, you will see two. One of them is radiant and the other is not. Although it is two, it is supposed to represent the two aspects within us. The radiant one is our Atma or the higher nature, which is always a Karta, a Bhokta, and a Sakshi, whereas the other one is constantly a Karta and a Bhokta. What does the lower bird have to do to become the higher bird? To realize we are already that. This whole study of this most wonderful Mundaka Upanishad, which is part of the Atharva Veda, which has got 65 mantras. We have finished the first Mundaka, which has 2 khandas. We are coming towards the end of the first section of the second Mundaka. All the time we need to remember the Shanti Pata, which is common to all the Upanishads of this particular Veda. The key word here is Bhadram. Bhadram means auspicious. The more we understand this Upanishad, what happens is I become extremely sensitive to everything that I can listen, everything that I can see. And the Upanishad and this Shanti Pata trains us to see whatever I see, whatever I experience is none other than Brahman. And therefore, let everything that I see and hear now become auspicious. The second half of the Shanti Pata is a prayer that I still have to make use of this life to get Brahma Vidya. So let us be blessed with good health. Let our bodies be strong. And therefore we invoke all the Devatas like Indra, Surya. Swastino Pusha Vishwaveda. O Sun, who is always available, I seek your blessings, and so on to the other Devatas. Although I have repeated this many times, I will still repeat how this beautiful Mundaka Upanishad begins. It begins by tracing how this wisdom has come to us. Brahma Devanam Pratama Sambhabhuva. The creator himself, Brahmaji, gives this advice, and he has given us to his eldest son, Atharva, and from Atharva to our current teacher, who is Angira. To Angira goes the prepared student, which can be represented by all of us. So we need to take that name of Shaunaka, the prepared student, approaches the teacher in the most reverential manner, asking one of the most wonderful questions possible in all Upanishads. O Bhagwan, what is that one fact? If I know, everything worth knowing is known. And in today's class, let us be very sensitive. We will get the answer. Until now, the whole of the Mundaka was a preparation. So the student knows there is something. If I know that, everything worthwhile becomes known. And in answer to that, the teacher replies, there are two kinds of knowledge. He says one is called para and the other is called apara. The apara deals with all worldly knowledge. Dharma, artha, kama. For all those fulfillment of those purusharthas, we require the apara, which we go to our schools and universities. But the prepared student comes to the teacher after the initial education, or those of us who are blessed with Brahma Vidya Acharya, when we approach them once again, they teach us these Upanishads and other similar texts. And this will give us the knowledge about our true nature, and that is called Paravidya. And then in the same Upanishad, there is this beautiful mantra, Yatorna Nabi Srijate Grinnate Cha, which is describing Brahman being very unique in that it not only creates the world, it also becomes the world. And the example is given of that of the spider. Towards the end of the first Mundaka, there is one turning point verse. This verse we need to study again and again. Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan Brahmana. What is the importance of this verse? All of us remember that day when we first were introduced to Brahma Vidya in a very special way. When we were first introduced to the Acharya. When we suddenly decided to change our priorities in the whole world. I have, from if you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. This introduction to Brahma Vidya, which told us that all worldly accomplishments do not take you beyond a certain level. More and more of the finite will end up infinite. And when you are infinite, there is a feeling of the more I have acquired, the more I still want in my life. The sense of fulfillment is not there. But when you go to an Acharya, and the Acharya tells us what is the real discovery, is to discover your true nature, because you are already that, and then you discover that there is nothing to do, there is nowhere to go, I don't have to prove anything to anybody, because now I am here to discover my true nature, which is myself. And the mantra talks about this nature of the Atma as Divya, Amurta, as Purusha, as both inside and outside, and that is the highest ever. In the previous verses, we described this beautiful verses as Yata Sudipta Pavaka Vishpulinga. Just like in a bonfire, you will see so many sparks. And each of those sparks have both light and heat, just like that bonfire itself. And all of us can represent that. With that, we come to the end of the first khanda of the second Mundaka, where the concluding verse is a verse that we need to remember, the verse we need to memorize. And this is one mantra that I would like you to study. And this is a very key mantra. And in this mantra itself, the first line, Purusha eva idam vishvam. If we can repeat this many times, Purusha eva idam vishvam. Repeat again silently to yourself. Purusha eva idam vishvam. Purusha itself has become this world of my experience. Purusha represents here the Atma. The Atma, the consciousness, because of which I'm able to listen, because of which I'm able to perform every form of action, that which is my very essential nature within, has become this whole world outside. So the essence of this śriṣti prakaranam, today you will hear so many beautiful and poetic verses of the Upanishad, which says how Brahman alone has become the world. And this is the tatparya, or the essence of each of the verses that we are going to study today, as that Brahman, or the Purusha within us, has become the world of our experience. When I see the world outside, there are four things extremely common to anything in the world outside, to that consciousness or the Purusha within. Although I see many objects, I need to find that common eka, sarvagata, nitya, satya aspect. And when we studied the Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshana, we discovered that the essence of the Vishwarupa is the Sat, or the existence principle. Everything that I see and experience is existent. And this existent principle is always there. It is Eka, it is Nitya, it is Satya. And the conclusion is, and this has changed my whole perspective. There is another Upanishad, the Ishavasya Upanishad, which says, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat, which is the same as Purusha eva idam vishwam. This whole world is none other than Brahman. We studied the Dakshinamurti Stotra. And in the opening verse of the Dakshinamurti Stotra, what did we study? Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari. This whole world is not as real as I think it is, because this whole world is seen as what? As images within my mind. And therefore, we need to be able to awaken to that Atma Tattva within me. And that Atma Tattva within me now has become this whole world. This understanding will happen as we listen to all these verses of today. The opening verse, verse number 5, will be explained to us by Shamala. Over to you, Shamala.
Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Dwiteeya Mundaka is the main chapter, because here alone Brahma Vidya is clearly presented. In the first section of Dwiteeya Mundaka, the Upanishad is revealing that Brahman as the Jagat Karanam, both the material and intellectual cause of creation. In the last class, we had completed 4 verses of the first section of Dwiteeya Mundaka. In the first 2 mantras, nature of Brahman was pointed out. The third and fourth mantras talked about the creation of the Samashti Hiranyagarbha śriṣti and Virat śriṣti, macro creation. Third mantra onwards, Upanishad is going to talk about the evolution of this universe. After macro creation, now in the 5th mantra, the Upanishad wants to talk about micro or individual śriṣti. The mantra goes like this. Tasmadagnis samidho yasya suryaha somat parjanya oshadaya prithivya puman retas sinchati yoshitaya bahvir praja purushat samprasutaha. In the last line, purushat, from the Purusha. Here, the word Purusha means Karana Ishvaraha, Maya Shariram Brahma. Purushat means from Ishvara. Bahvir Praja Samprasutaha. Praja means living beings. Infinite number of living beings are also born. Here, living being means what? Sthula Sukshma Sharirani. Sthula Sukshma Prapancha is already complete. Now, Sthula Sukshma Sharira Srishti is talked about. They are born. As we see in the next slide, the Shastra talks about the procedure of the human birth, which is elaborately discussed in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, where the Punarjanma process is talked about. The mechanism, the procedure is famously known as Panchagni Vidya. They describe how the recycling takes place. This procedure is not in the case of all species of living beings, not even all human beings, only some of them. This Mundaka mantra does not give details, but some dots and dashes. The Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka give details. Highly technical subject matter entirely on Veda Pramanam. We cannot scientifically verify because after death, what happens, we can never see or know all these descriptions. All these descriptions are based on Veda. We see in the next slide, what does Veda say? At the time of death, we are losing only our outermost layer of personality. We do not die totally, but only the outermost layer dies. The jiva goes through the final ceremony called as Anteshti Karmani. In this final ritual, the physical body of jiva is offered unto the fire, which itself is considered a ritual. Vaidika must go through 41 samskaras, of which this is the last, where I offer my body to the fire god. In the next slide, the Shastra says, at the time of the death itself, jiva gets connected to next body, but very, very minute body. And this minute body will have to evolve next human body very gradually to become a full-fledged body to enjoy the punya papa karmas. Until then, body is there, but not for sukha dukkha anubhava. And according to Shastras, this minute physical body is supposed to go through 5 stages called Panchagni. This minute body has to be cooked in 5 places. In each level of cooking, the body will become what? More evolved. And the Pancha Agnis are enumerated in the Shastras as Swarga Agni, then Megha Agni, then Prithvi Agni, then Purusha Agni. Then last Stri Agni. That means this minute physical body straight away goes to Swargaloka. As we see in the next slide, the first cooking of minute physical body takes place in Swarga Agni, and the body evolves to the second level. The second Agni is called Megha Agni, the cloud. From Swarga to cloud, and next stage from cloud through rains to the earth, Prithvi Agni. From earth through the vegetable kingdom, Jiva reaches Purusha, the male body. From Purusha, it is in the form of Bijam, it gets transferred at the time of conception into the body of the Stri, the female, the mother principle. After 5 stages, the minute physical body has become a full-fledged baby. And each stage of evolution is also given a special name, which is seen in the next slide. When it comes out from the first Agni, it is called Soma Shariram. From second fire, Rishti Shariram. Rishti means rain. From the third fire is called Anna Shariram. In 4th stage, it is called Reta Shariram or Bija Shariram. And finally, from the female, it is called Purusha Shariram. Next slide, please. In this sloka, Tasmad Agni Samidho Yasya Suryaha. This line refers to the first stage of Jiva, Swargaloka. The world lightens up by the sun. The illuminating principle is Surya Bhagavan. Somat Parjanyaha is the second stage. Parjanya means Megaha. Oshadayaha Pritivyam, the Bhumi, third stage. Puman Retaha, Puman, male body, referring to the fourth stage. Retaha means seed in the human male body. Sinchati, transverse. Yoshitayam, Nari, woman, fifth stage. And thus passing through all these stages. Purushat, Bhavihi, Prajaha, Samprasutaha. Here, Purusha represents Isvara or Saguna Brahma. Varieties of human beings are born, but all beings are not born in this mode. Different jivas have different modes. Amoeba multiplies just by division. It doesn't seem to go through all these stages. In short, the essence is varieties of living beings are born. What is the ultimate cause? The Ishvara alone is the ultimate cause. Hari Om.
Thank you, Shamila. That was an excellent explanation of this verse. You have explained every aspect of this verse as clearly and also concluded that it is Purusha, it is Atma or Brahman alone, which is the cause of the entire universe. Now we need to keep in our mind the question by Shaunaka. What is that knowing which everything becomes known? And these set of verses are the answers to that question. 6 and 7 mantras will be explained by Indumati. Over to you, Indumati.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Here in the Mundaka chapter 2, shloka 6 and 7, the Upanishad is revealing Brahman as Jagat Karanam. And even though Brahman is both intelligence and the material cause of creation, here the Upanishad is focusing upon the Brahman as the material cause of creation. This is called śriṣti prakaranam. In the next slide, we see the shloka. Tasmadrichasama yajumshi dikshah yagnascha sarve kratavo dakshinascha samvatsarascha yajamanascha lokah somo yatra pavate yatra suryaha. In the next slide, we see the word by word meaning like this. Tasmat, from him, Hiranyagarbha, Purusha, Rik, Sama, Yajumshi, the scriptures Rig Veda, Sama Veda, and Yajurvedas. Atharva is not used in rituals primarily, so it is not mentioned here. Brahman is Ishvara or the Lord because he is the creator. Rishis are the mantra drashtaras. They are not inventors, they are discoverers. Diksha, any religious discipline, physical or moral. Shastras also prescribed certain rules, disciplines. They are called Dikshas. Puja Swamiji, Paramarthanandaji gives an example here. Sage Vishwamitra took the help of Sri Rama to kill Maricha and Subahu. Though he himself could have killed them with his tapobalam, to kill a person, one should get angry. But because Vishwamitra could not get angry, he called Sri Rama. This is also called Diksha. Sarve Yagnaha, Yagaha, all ceremonies. Kratavaha, big yagas like Ashwamedha, sacrifices that involve killing of animals. Dakshinascha, unique mission of a Vedic person, gifts like money or any other thing like Godanam. Cow is considered as a sacred animal. Any gift of money or other things forming part of every religious act. Samvatsarahacha, all different periods of time. Varsham, example, Sankalpa is an integral part of Vedic activity, that is Panchangam. For any religious activity, time principle is used. Panchangam is read for performing various religious activities, Masa, Varsha, Yoga, Tithi, and Karana are Pancha Angas. Yajamanaha, one who believes in the Vedic activities. Yajate iti, Yagam karoti iti, Yajamanaha. A Vedic ritualist is a Yajamana. He is a master. Next, we have Lokaha. All the 14 lokas, fields of experience. Lokas are called Karma Phalam and are born out of Brahma. 4 lokas of Shastras are 1. Higher non-returnable loka, attain Atmagnanam and liberation. This is the 14th loka, and this is Brahma loka, is of first class. Second one is higher returnable loka. One has to come back. Third one is Manushya loka. This is neither higher nor lower. That is Madhyama loka. Fourth one is the lower loka. This world is likely to be attained by one who performs sacrifices with some end in view. Somaha yatra pavate, illumined by the moon, returnable higher loka, heaven and Brahmaloka, illumined by the sun, which is non-returnable Surya loka. The rest of the lokas are lower lokas. The moon sanctifies and the sun causes suffering. All these are born out of our Brahman. That is, from that Purusha, everything is derived. In the next slide, we have shloka number 7. Tasmacha devaha bahuda samprasutaha sadhya manushyaha pashavo vayamsi pranapano vrihiyavo tapascha shraddha satyam brahmacharyam vidishcha. The question we started within this Upanishad was, what is that by knowing which I can know everything? The Upanishad says that it is Brahman because everything comes from Brahman. Tasmat, from that Brahman, all the Vedas have come. Tasmatcha, from that Brahman, now the Upanishad talks about some more creations. World has no utility if there is no one to make use of it. Every achetana vastu becomes a chetana vastu when it is being used properly. Devaha bahudaha, the different orders, various gradation or classes of gods are manifold. Samprasutaha are born, sadhyaha, the sadhyas type of deity, 12 of them, and are superior to the other gods and goddesses. Pitrudevataha. Manushyaha, men and women. Pashavaha, animals. Vayansi, birds, are all born out of Brahman. Pranapano, prana and apana, life and breath. Inhalation and exhalation. Vrihi, rice. Yavaha, barley and other cereals. Tapahacha, austerity. Swamiji humorously puts it in this way: don't make your stomach a waste paper basket. Instead, do tapas. Moderation with regard to everything. Shraddha, faith in the Vedas, God, scriptures. Shraddha is a unique quality of mind. Satyam, truth, values. Brahmacharyam is self-discipline, a Vedic student's life that is committed to the pursuit of knowledge. And then Vidishcha, rules and regulations like Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara, etc. Thus, to conclude, all are born out of Brahman alone. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Induji. That was an excellent explanation of these two verses. There is nothing else that can be added as taught to us by Swamiji. The next two verses will be explained to us by Ramaji. Over to you, Rama Madam.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Harihi Om. Mundaka Upanishad mantra 2.18 and 19. Sapta prana prabhavanti tasmat saptarchishas samidhas sapta homaha sapta ime loka yeshu charanti pranaha guhashaya nihita sapta sapta. Meaning of the mantra: from him have sprung the 7 pranas, the 7 flames, the 7 kinds of fuel, the 7 oblations, and also the 7 planes where the pranas move, living in the cave, which are 7 in each and every living being. Meaning of the words. In the next slide, the meaning of the word Sapta Pranaha is shown. The list of things born from Brahman continues, and this mantra specially talks about the creation of the subjective world or Adhyatma in Sapta, the groups of 7 in particular. The word Sapta Pranaha refer to the 7 sense organs as they can function only with the help of prana. Strangely, the Upanishad says that the 7 sense organs are 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and the mouth together, making Sapta Pranaha. Upanishad gives an imagery of our life as a homa, which is detailed in the next slide. Our desires are like flames. They blaze out of the senses in the direction of their respective worldly objects. They are 7 flames or Sapta Archishaha. Sapta Samidhaha are the 7 sense objects in the form of oblations for the 7 powers of perception. They are like fuel or samit, which is offered into the flames of sacrifice. They tempt the sense organs into action and flare up the flames of perception. The 7 flames are sounds perceived by each ear, rupas by each eye, gandhas by each nostril, and the taste by the mouth. The thought modifications that are generated in the mind by the flame of sense organs are the 7 homas or Sapta Homaha. The consumption of the sense objects like Shabda, Rupa, etc. and knowing their Gnana Vrittis is like doing a homa, and it is not an endless activity. The sense organs are the Homa Kundas, the Chaitanya reflected in them are the flames, sense objects are the fuel, and the knowledge of these objects are the offerings or oblations. Yeshu pranaha charanti. The sense organs move or dwell in the golakas during the waking hours, and every homa performed results in sukha or dukkha through raga or dvesha, binding the jiva as karta or bhokta. Lokas mean golakas. It is briefed in the next slide. Ime sapta lokaha. Lokas are not different words, but the physical locations of the senses in the gross body. Golakas are the 7 apertures above the neck, or these can be the 7 energy centers in the body called chakras, from Mooladhara at the root of the spine to Sahasrara at the crown of the head. Guhashaya nihitaha. In the deep sleep state, the homa kundas are emptied and all fires are withdrawn from the golakas into guha or heart. They rest in the heart until the next waking state. The secret place referred to here is the mystical heart. Sapta, in the next slide we see, Sapta Sapta Tasmat Prabhavanti. All these groups of 7 seen as an integral part in each and every living being are born out of Brahman only. Pujya Swamiji Paramarthanandaji concludes this mantra and says the sense organs corresponding golakas, range of the sense organs and the sense objects required for every sensory experience in our entire life, coupled with all karmas, karma sadhanas, and karma phalas, emerge from this Supreme Brahman alone. Now moving on to the next mantra, which says, Atas samudra girayascha sarve smat tyandante sindhava sarvarupaha atascha sarva oshadhayo rasascha yenaisha bhutaististhate hyantaratma. Now the meaning of this mantra: from that Brahman originate all oceans and mountains. From him flow rivers of every kind, plants and their essence, by which the inner self subsists, surrounded by the elements. Now the word meaning. The next slide features the creation of the objective word. The idea of the groups of 7 may be carried over into this verse as well, to add richness and uniformity to its meaning. Sapta Samudraha. Shankara Bhashyam enumerates the 7 oceans as Kshara Adi Samudraha, referring to the scriptures. Sapta Girayascha, the 7 mountain ranges like the Himalayas and the rest. Sarva Rupaha Sindhavascha, all kinds of rivers with diversity in terms of contents, nature and glorification. It reminds me of the shloka Gange cha Yamune chaiva Godavari Saraswati, etc., glorifying the 7 great rivers in India. The next word is Oshadhaya, denote all vegetation or the 7 great medical systems. They are Ayurveda and others as shown in the slide. Rasascha means along with their essence, that is the vegetation along with their essence, or rasas can be the 6-fold taste also. Bhutaihi, formed by the 7 elements, the gross body, which is the product of 5 gross elements, together with the sun and moon, which are considered as elements. The last slide says, Ataha Syandante. Yena Isha, this gross body is born and nourished by the rasa and keeps it alive. Antaratma here refers to the subtle body. Antaratma refers here to the subtle body, which is between the gross body and the Atma. Tishthate, subtle body is sustained. Togetherness of the gross body and the subtle body is survival, and their separation is death. In other words, because of this rasa only, the physical body is alive and the subtle body remains connected with the gross body. Asmat Syandante, they all arise from the Supreme Purusha. Thus, the mantras 8 and 9 reveal both Adhyatmam and Adhibhutam and everything that supports the life on earth as manifestations of the Supreme Purusha only. The words Tasmat, Asmat and Ataha in the mantras denote the Supreme Purusha only. Thank you. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Thank you very much, Ramaji. Another excellent explanation of these 2 important verses, 2 important mantras, mantra 8 and mantra 9. Again, where the Upanishad is very poetically describing everything that you see and experience, both in the inner world as well as in the outer world, has come from that Purusha alone. With that, we come to the last mantra of this section, the concluding mantra of the of this particular section, and this is verse number 10. There are many beautiful mantras in Mundaka Upanishad, but this mantra I would consider certainly as perhaps the most important. And if it is so important, we have to learn this mantra. We have to learn the essence of this mantra. We have to also, for some time, make it a very daily mantra. First, let us learn how to chant this mantra and then the meaning of each word of this mantra. Purusha evedam vishvam karma tapo brahma paramritam yetad veda nihitam guhaya so avidya grantin dikirati hi saumya. As explained earlier, Purusha or Atma or Brahman, which can represent which I see as the consciousness within me, itself has become the whole world. That means whatever I experience in the external world, including this body and mind of mine, is none other than the expression of that Atma or the Purusha as existence outside. The word Purusha can be elaborated as Purayate iti sarvam iti Purusha, that which pervades everything. This whole world that I experience, just like this body is a product of my past karma and my past upasana. And the key word here are karma and tapaha. Tapaha here represents all my upasanas and karma as my past action. I deserve this particular world because of my past karma and my past upasanas. Paramrutam. So what is Paramrutam? The word Param means the ultimate, the highest. Amrutam means the immortal one. So this immortal Atma Tattva within me manifests as the existence principle in the whole world outside. We studied Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshana. And when we studied the Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshana, one of the important aspects I emphasize in each of these classes is the Upanishads see Vishwarupa Ishvara as existent. I see an existent laptop, an existent table. What is that which lends existence? And the Upanishads say that the consciousness in me manifests as the existence. Whatever I see outside is therefore not pure existence, because it is existence along with objects. So anything that I see is existent. So anything outside is existent with various nama rupa. As we have studied, or we will be studying in the 13th chapter, Kshetragna Vibhaga, we need to make this viveka all the time. Whatever I see in the outer world has got nama, rupa, and satta. Whatever I experience in the inner world has got nama and rupa. Every thought has got a certain nama and rupa, but it has got consciousness. So become aware of the consciousness within and existence outside. And then you will see that common factor, Eka Sarvagata Nitya Satya, is none other than the existence principle outside and the consciousness within. There is another Upanishad which says this, Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kinchit Jagatyam Jagat. This whole world is none other than Brahman in the form of existence. If this understanding is there within me, that means now I have got a new understanding of this world as none other than Vishwarupa Ishvara. And this thought or this knowledge itself can shift my whole perspective from samsara to moksha. We have studied Sri Dakshinamurti Stotra, where Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari, this whole world is, although it is there outside, it is experienced within me, within my body. The world comes into my eyes as an image. And from this image, it goes into my mind as a thought. And although the world is seemingly outside, it is really within my eyes as an image, within my mind as a thought. And it is experienced with the Atma. And because of the Atma Tattva, or because of Maya Shakti, this world which is actually within me appears outside and appears real. Maya has the ability to make the world which is actually within me as consciousness. It appears as though outside and as though real. Through the study of the Dakshinamurti Stotra and through this particular verse, we need to understand and awaken ourselves. Just like when a person awakens from his dream, realizes that the dream was not outside and the dream was not real, but it was all a mind game that was happening outside. So too through spiritual awakening, through the process of the study of these Upanishadic verses by the guidance of the teacher, we come to a clear understanding, I am this Atma Tattva. I alone through this body-mind experience this whole world, and this whole world is of a lower order of reality, and therefore if anything happens to the lower order of reality and to this material body cannot affect me, because now I am of a higher order of reality. Sakshat Kurute does not mean that I have become Brahman. I realize I am that other bird, that divine bird, and I claim and I establish myself in I am that. I don't have to become, because I am already that. This wisdom has come to us by the blessings of the Dakshinamurti. And Dakshinamurti has been able to awaken us through our Guru Swami Paramarthananda Ji. And to such a Guru and to such a teacher, how do we explain our gratitude? The only way is to make our commitment to these verses. These verses shall now become an integral part of our life. Now I know Purusha eva idam Vishwam. This whole Vishwam, which is a product of my karma and tapaha, is Brahma Paramrutam, is immortal Brahman. Although it is outside, yetad yo veda nihitam guhaya. I need to be able to discover that this world outside is none other than that consciousness which is experienced within the cave of my heart. And once I discover that this world is none other than the Brahman who I discover as consciousness within me, then what happens? So avidya grantin, that knot of ignorance which has been there from anadi time, vikirati, is destroyed. And now I'm awakened to my true reality. And the teacher says, "Oh Saumya, oh dear one, this is my blessings for you." With that, we have concluded that beautiful 10th mantra. That 10th mantra should be an integral part of our life. Our next class will be continuing our revision classes of the Gita through Disha in topic 7, where the focus will be on Karma Yoga. We will conclude today's by a Thanksgiving prayer to Lord Ganesha, and it will be done for us by Panaga. Panaga, please.
Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Mudakarat modakam sada vimukti sadhakam kaladharavatam sakam vilasi lokarakshakam anayakaikanayakam vinashite bhadaityakam natashuභाशुनाशकं नमामि तं विनायकम् न तेतरातिभीकरं न वोदितार्कभास्वरम् न मत्सुरारिनिर्जरं न ताधिकापदुद्धरम् सुरेश्वरं निधीश्वरं गजेश्वरं गणेश्वरं महेश्वरं तमाश्रये परात्परं निरन्तरम् समस्तलोकशङ्करं निरस्तदैत्यकुञ्जरम् दरेतरोदरं वरं वरे भवक्त्रमक्षरम् कृपाकरं क्षमाकरं यशस्करं मनस्करं नमस्कृतां नमस्करोमि भास्वरम् अकिञ्चनार्तिमार्जनं चिरन्तनोक्तिभाजनम् पुरारिपूर्वनन्दनं सुरारिगर्वचर्वणम् प्रपञ्चनाशभीषणं धनञ्जयादिभूषणम्
कपोलदानवारणं भजे पुराणवारणम् नितान्तकान्तदन्तकान्तिमन्तकान्तकात्मजम् अचिन्त्य रूपमन्तहीनमन्तराय कृन्तनम् हृदन्तरे निरन्तरं वसन्तमेव योगिना तमेकदन्तमेव तं विचिन्तयामि सन्ततम् महागणेश पञ्चरत्नमादरेण योऽन्वहम् प्रजल्पति प्रभातके हृदि स्मरन् गणेश्वरम् अरोगतामदोषतां सुसाहितीं सुपुत्रताम् समाहितायुरष्टभूतिमभ्युपैति सोचिरात् समाहितायुरष्टभूतिमभ्युपैति सोचिरात् इति श्रीमच्छङ्कराचार्य विरचित श्रीमहागणेश पंचरत्नं सम्पूर्णम् हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम
Thank you, Panaga, for a beautiful divine rendition. Thank you all teachers of the day for a wonderful session. Next Friday, on 13th May 2022, we will commence our study of 13th chapter, Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. On Monday, 9th May 22, let us log in for next episode of Disha at 6:45 p.m. Until then, Jai Shri Krishna. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavachishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Bo.